Welcome to day 2 of the Connected Fitness Summit in Los Angeles. I hope you managed to get some sleep last night.
I did indeed. Good enough to be up bright and early. We had the Innovation Showcase this morning, 8 incredible concepts, all had been vetted, and a series of about, I want to say, 6 judges, investors, people who had some really great questions. So that was amazing, and we had some of those people on the show on this episode. Equinox, it was great to sort of touch on my old brand, Equinox.
Well, they don't normally do interviews, so that's the first important thing to
and
say.
And probably
right?
the last.
Yeah, when they hear about what she gave away in the interview, then yeah.
But look, we talked about everything from changes, shifts in consumer behaviour, through how they're looking at brick and mortar, which of course Equinox is famous for, through the digital journey into Web3, into crypto, blockchain, and how they're thinking about that space. I mean, it was an inspiring session.
Yeah, even some very interesting trends regarding their hospitality venture and
the hotel being number 1 for the last 3 years, more around the wellness journey, so people don't want their routine interrupted. In fact, what are you going to do because I'm losing sleep? And so just some amazing things that they've done there.
And I think the interesting thing, obviously those guys are sort of very much at the cutting edge, but it was quite interesting, as you say, on how their consumer is interacting with their brand, what they want from a digital experience, and yeah, some of the, certainly on the recovery side, how they're approaching that. I won't give it away, but I certainly came away and felt as though I learned a lot from that interview. So.
And 7 days on, people are moving more, they're taking their health much more serious. And
don't give it away.
I'm not giving it away. That's it.
So please have a listen. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, then let us know what you think about it. And enjoy this week's episode of the Escaping Limits podcast.
Wow, we've got royalty in the house today. So Julia Klim from Equinox, we have a shared past in that wonderful brand. Now you're VP of Strategic Partnerships and also Business Development. So I'm sure you have a lot of projects which we're looking forward to digging in. Now, it's been a super interesting time for the last 3 years, and I think for the Equinox brand, I'm sure you've had a moment having so many trophy properties closed, all the pressures that come with that. We were talking yesterday, we loved the We Don't Speak January campaign, really talking about taking it out of, the hard, hot body that's usually naked at Equinox and really taking it back to the lifestyle brand, which has always been what Equinox is about. So I think that's really interesting. Harvey, of course, recently just talked about sales going through the roof, as have many club owners, as people race back to the live experience. And of course, you also had a lot of digital play with Equinox, having a digital, right across all the brands that you represent as well, so whether that's Soul, etc. So, welcome. We're really excited to unpack that. There's a lot going on. What would you say is your biggest challenge right now?
I don't like the word challenge, and I know it sounds a little bit, it's kind of weird, but the challenge is to figure out what to prioritize, as opportunities are truly endless. For multiple reasons. One is, I think health and wellness as a category is this ever-expanding pie that connotes way more, right? The consumer is also working out more. I mean, many years ago, if you work out twice a week, you're a little crazy, and now we're essentially at the no days off. We're all committing to doing something for yourself every day, right? And it's all about attention span, right? How many more hours in a day can you do something? Because at the end of the day, it feels good to meditate, it feels good to walk, it feels good to move your body, etc. And then 3, Equinox specifically as a brand has done a tremendous job not being a fitness brand. Well, it is a lifestyle brand, and you alluded to it. Obviously, you work there, so you know, but a manifestation of this is, in 2019, we opened a hotel. And 10 years ago, I tell people we were opening
Great
hotel.
timing, by the way.
Great timing, but hotel is on little fire. We cannot keep up with demand because, again, we have proven that a brand can extend, and if you create net new experiences, people love it. Today, the hotel is ranked #1 luxury hotel in New York for 3 years straight, above Baccarat, Four Seasons, etc. So this is just to say it's one location, there's more to come. Obviously a multi-year undertaking, but a manifestation that you can truly transform the business in a variety of angles. So I am literally sitting here trying to prioritize for myself and for the company of how many massive bets like this we'll do next, which one of those are, so that we can continue meeting our consumer more and more throughout their day and throughout their life.
Just on the hotel, I have not been a guest there. Have you been
I've not
there?
stayed. I've been in.
Oh, you have
Been in but not stayed. So tell us what's made you different? Because there's a lot of beautiful hotels around and they're all doing wellness to some degree. Why?
I'm sure you travel a lot. It's very hard to stay fit on the road, right? And so we started noticing many years ago that a lot of people would book their hotel in their proximity to Equinox to continue with their habit of, going out and working out. But what's made the hotel amazing is that if you go to new hotels, every new hotel is building bigger gyms. It's clearly that gym is important, right? Except it's usually a hotel room that's turned into a gym. So it's empty, it's soulless, there's no community in it. So what we did was a little bit different. We took the principle of what Equinox is built upon, which is movement, nourishment, regeneration, and applied it to the entire programming. So what this means is this. You go into a hotel room, your hotel room is not when you work out. We actually call the room sleeping chambers.
Okay.
There's one button and puts the entire hotel into black. It's dark, cold, with one iPad button. And so it maximizes and optimizes your recovery. So that's the hotel room. Then you go down to your gym and you walk into a local Equinox. It is a local Equinox. So you have the energy that you do not get walking
a real
into
gym.
Correct.
A real gym.
And so you kind of have that offering. And then nourishment, done an incredible job from designing, anything from IV drips coming to your hotel room for recovery to have antioxidant smoothies, etc. So you really can kind of stay there and perform. I cannot tell you the number of people, CEOs, musicians, artists, who told us that this is the best night of sleep they get.
Right.
And so it's creating incredible four-wall experience, but also being very intentional about the details. Attaching into a local community is really, I think, what makes this place special. Our spa, which is a very much of a high-performance biohacking type spa, was just ranked by CNN Travel as #1 spa in New York. So we just continue keeping awards, and it's again manifestation that wellness can transcend then to other things like hospitality, right?
How do you prompt me? So if I come to stay with you, how do I find out or ask for, or even know that you provide an IV drip for maybe if I'm traveling, or how does that get curated for me?
There's a specific concierge. The original idea for the hotel, which still is transcendent, is that lifestyle has evolved, but luxury hasn't. So if you think in the hotel world, you get the Four Seasons, etc. How many times do you actually use a concierge? You don't, right? And then you have the Soho houses, which is much more cooler. You kind of do use the digital, etc. But you do not necessarily consider it luxury. We want to measure too. So you have a concierge that's there with you. You have an iPad that essentially describes it all, and you can order anything you want essentially on this iPad. And then lastly, our mini bar actually has 56 things that you can buy and touch within beauty, etc. So you kind of, it's hard to not notice,
right.
But you have a person, essentially, you think of this a VIP concierge that walks you through it,
curating your experience while you're there.
Within the ecosystem.
We talked about consumer trends before we press the button to record, but what are you seeing are some of the changes in consumer trends? And I would say, think about probably when you decided to do this pre-pandemic, and then now, have you seen any kind of interesting changes in terms of what people are looking for and asking for?
Look, I think trends come and go, and actually in fitness, if you look, there's a lot of circular trends coming and going. I mean, we're literally doing Jane Fonda, Pilates right now, right? I'm laughing, but it's true. I think the general change, and it's continuously like this every year, and it got accelerated, is that people do work out more. And so we see it, our consumer average comes to us 20% time more often than they did pre-pandemic. And so it's just more, essentially. I think, obviously digital has played a huge role. We all wear clothes riding our bikes, in a four-wall. I think nothing replaces physical experience and being with the community, but digital does play a very important role, right? It's what keep the continuum, helps motivates you, helps give you data, track you. So I think the consumer got a little bit smarter, and essentially, at least our consumer, the committed consumer, the don't speak January consumer who shows up every day at 5 a.m. and works out. Not me, I don't wake up at 5 a.m., but there are those people.
Introducing the next big thing in functional training, the Escape Barrow, a revolutionary training tool that combines a loaded farmer's carry with a sled push to develop hip, grip, and core strength. Developed in partnership with Pete Holman, inventor of the TRX Rip Trainer and Nautilus Glute Drive, the Escape Barrow can be rolled, pushed, dragged and carried. The Escape Barrow packs a punch with an impressive load capacity of 440 pounds, and with a 2-stage galvanized paint covering process, it's also ideal for outdoor use. So head over to escapefitness.com/barrow. That's escapefitness.com/barrow to find out more. Enjoy the rest of this episode.
What are they looking, when they, in terms of the fitness side, like, are you finding that they're looking for more, like, mind body? Are they looking, you know, one of the things we hear is a lot of strength training is something that people want. Are you seeing any changes from that side of things?
Yeah, I think it varies a little bit by male and female slightly. I think that more of a Pilates, long and lean, etc. And we're surfacing on research of data on hormones and how they affect women have impacted a little bit more of they're doing a little bit less of the very high intensity classes and more of, or added more of like long and lean yoga, Pilates type things. I'm obviously overgeneralizing, but that's been one trend. I think people do understand now that cardio on its own, sweating on its own, doesn't actually translate into losing weight, losing calories, and it goes back to consumer, and we got smarter. How you burn fat, how you optimize for peak performance, etc. And so we do see our consumer, instead of sticking to one habit of 6 times a day cycling class, they are adding a variety into their workouts. They understand the concept of strength training. They understand that they need to have a very multi-modality workouts in order to truly optimize their performance. Lastly, what I've also noticed even more, we have spas in all of our locations, but people are now approaching recovery with the same intensity they approach working out, right? Intense workout paired with intense recovery, cold plunges, cold showers, all the things that you wouldn't necessarily spend time on before, you just get your workout in, are equally prioritized, which is amazing because that's actually how you should build, a very sustainable routine that is sustainable for your body also, as well as motivates you to do more. So it's been good to see our consumer and the science, kind of moving together and asking us for things, asking our trainers around, how should I sleep? When should I go to bed? What supplement should I take? We just want to do better, and it's all part of fitness, which I don't think it was fully even like 2 years ago.
How are you one other thing, how are you integrating, there's obviously a lot of wearables here. We talked to Aura yesterday.
I'm wearing one,
And there's some smart things in terms of sleep, glucose, etc. How are you thinking about that as a brand? Are you sort of partnering and connecting with some of those other things, or are you looking to do stuff yourself? Where do you see that whole space going?
Yes. So look, we talked about the brand extension, but the way we internally talk about Equinox, it's an ecosystem of experiences where we use digital and data to glue this ecosystem for you together. And what I mean by this is, let's take Aura. If I got a sleep score that says I haven't slept well, I probably should do a yoga or meditation class and no workout, right? That level of information you didn't have. And so we as Equinox should know to serve you the right class, the right content that's based on personalized to you how you feel this morning. And so that's how we think about this. We're thinking about taking all this data for whatever monitoring, glucose, etc., and give you actionable insights that actually affects how you make decisions on a daily basis. I'm not sure if you wear a glucose monitor. It's fun to wear for two weeks. By 2 weeks, you kind of figure out what you do, and then you're kind of over it. We're bringing all of these things together, ORS1, etc., to essentially collect this data and be the guidance, which is what we do. We guide people and coach people. We do not want to own any of these stuff. There are a lot of people out there, Aura is, we have an integration with Whoop. We're working with Aura. We're agnostic. Choose your own journey, consumer. Let us take the data and tell you what to do with it.
Interesting.
That's great. How are you, just further to that, how are you thinking about Web3, crypto, metaverse? What's Equinox take on that? What are you building towards?
I'm laughing because I've been talking about this for 2 years. And
it's finally here.
Yes, and people always roll eyes at me. I have a computer science degree, so I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to tech.
Good.
But I think fitness is all about motivation. At the end of the day, no one can say that after a workout they feel bad, it's the waking up moment, the showing up moment is hard. Motivation can come in a variety of ways, and I think community is a huge one. Data, showing progress is a big one. I think Web3 provides very interesting tool to help with their motivation, and so there'll be more big announcement coming, but we'll be leveraging Web3 technology.
Which she's not going to share with us. No one shares this.
As an example, though, you say this is what I've not connected yet. So you say Web3 could be good for motivation. Without giving away what you're doing, how does that help with motivation?
How do I say? Let's say. Look, I think building loyalty and owning and monetizing your commitment is something that hasn't existed before. So today, if I have an Equinox membership and I never show up, by the way, this is not our consumer, but let's just take it, and then a different Equinox member runs 100 miles, a month, you should be able to be rewarded in an interesting way for your commitment to showing up, and it should be personalized to you.
Right.
You can do a lot of these things using Web2, and that's why casinos and hotels have a lot of loyalty platforms. There is more interesting tech that Web3 or blockchain supports for personalized recommendation and reward and ownership that we couldn't have before. So we're going to be building. Look, I think it's a journey. I think not every single store became e-commerce store overnight. So, but we found a few partners they'll be announcing with. They'll build the ecosystem with us. And again, it doesn't matter if it's Web3 or not. When you go on the Amazon website, all you care about, you have one click and you check out. You don't care if it's built on SQL, etc. We don't talk about Web2. And so I don't want to talk about Web3. All I'm always saying is that there's additional tech that we hope to lead the conversation around helping people get motivated in a variety of ways.
How do you, when you're looking at that, I guess it is rapidly changing. It's still
Early.
very early,
Yeah.
and it's not a cheap bet. As
No.
there's a lot of investment and commitment into it, and with a brand like yours, you also got to be careful that you're not losing your customer in some way and making a bit of a decision that could not seem as authentic as you are as a brand. How do you go about navigating something that's out there? Like hotels, it's okay, you can look at that and you kind of know what you're dealing with and it's been around, and it's like, how do we do that better? And many different products, spas, you can kind of take biohacking and put it into there. But Web3 in some respects is very, unpaved territory.
Look, it's going to be a very general comment, but it's about very thoughtful strategy and very slow and thoughtful rollout and testing. If I added additional friction to your experience, then I failed. If I made something easier for you, then I succeeded, and it's actually that simple.
Right.
So today, to do anything on Web3, you have to have 4 wallets and etc. And I don't even want you to know that you're doing Web3.
Yeah,
you should just be using an Equinox app, and you shouldn't care where it is. But it will be for us to communicate the value of it for sure. Like, why should you care about you owning your data? How can you trade your data, etc., etc. So I think there's a lot of it. I'm very mindful of what to say, but there's a lot of that we will see coming out in terms of data and owning your data and monetizing your data, and being rewarded for the fact that you might be working out and another person is sitting on the sofa watching Netflix, and yet you both are paying the same premiums, right? So I think that entire space will be fascinating. We just want to be in a conversation. We've always been the leading brand.
Yes.
The way we're leading a brand is because we lead the conversation. So I'm not forcing people into Web3, and we choose your own journey. But I am trying to make things easier, better, and more sticky.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then just from an expansion point of view, so like you mentioned, premium brand, everyone in the world knows it, especially in our industry. When you look at expansion, you've got, very strong legacy in brick and mortar. You've also got this incoming, your background, how does tech feed into that? When you look at, I guess, where the brand's investing right now, what is the split between digital and in real life? Like just, I guess, the physical clubs versus what's happening online.
Yeah.
And then where do you see, are you getting, is it more clubs, or is it deeper experience, or is it, because we know SoulCycle's pulled out of the UK, there's just been so much rearranging of the chessboard, right? Where do you see expansion and focus going, say, in the next 3 years?
Let me ask you a question. I assume you go to restaurants. Do you
Daily.
order? Do you order from restaurants sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay, which do you prefer, ordering in or being in a restaurant?
It's contextual for me.
Oh, really? Well, I like to order, but I actually really like to be served in a restaurant.
Right.
And it's a little bit the same with fitness. And what I mean by this is, yes, digital is there, we're there, so that on the days you can't show up, you can be there. it's an end solution and it's a substitution for the utility you can have. At the end of the day, we're a physical business. Fitness is best done physically, and so we're continue expanding locations in same market, new markets.
Dubai, right?
Sorry.
Dubai.
All over.
All over.
Yeah. We just opened Studio City, best opening in the history of Equinox, and so we continue expanding physical footprint. And yes, we continue to deepen the engagement with the consumer, who continues to spend more and more time within our four walls. And so the question is, what else can I serve you that's relevant to you so that I can deepen this engagement and share a wallet as a result? And so it's always both. Digital, standing here today, for someone like Equinox, we don't view it as yes, it can be growing there, but we use it as an augmentation of the physical, not a standalone digital solution. Because again,
replacement.
If you walk into an Equinox, it's immersive, right? It's very hard to make immersive in a digital. I mean, we've tried it. Two-way screen only works on a Netflix movie with an actual plot. If you want to have this is a human business, right? So we just want to continue tapping what we know best, which is design, human connection, programming, etc.
Yeah, that's great. And then I guess there was some flirting with IPO, I guess, through the last 3 years. Is that still something on the table?
I can say it's what's in the news.
Gotta ask, right?
No, you got take your shots.
with the spa biohacking, there's definitely a kind of a close, almost getting close from moving from fitness to almost like a medical sort of correlation. Like where do you see that area going, whether it's for Equinox or just as a individual observer? Do you see fitness and medical kind of getting close together? You gave a brief example of when you were talking about Web3 and how people that are working out can be sort of rewarded in a slightly different way. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, I think it's undoubtedly that medical and wellness are coming closer together, and I think we're all continuing to realize that, yes, genes are great, but 80% of how you affect your health span, lifespan is your lifestyle choices, and your lifestyle choices are moving, nourishing yourself, and regenerating, and being around people, right? And so I see this massively converging. I also think whether it's from a tech side of wellness or digital wellness or other ways, I think the insurances, the healthcare professionals, they need more and more connectivity, right? Right now, the consumer, I have to go to my primary doctor to get one thing, I go to my trainer to get something else, get another person to get something else. Those things have to make it easier for the consumer, so they know that if your blood test showed you one thing, that it probably should affect how you work out, and because your cortisol level might spike. So all of this has to come together. Question is how and who. So I would suspect in the market there'll be a lot of new. I could see partnership being forced between Mount Sinai's of the world and and the fitness of the world, where the one your doctor talks to your fitness instructor. Like, why not, right? We're not there yet, but I think market has to change. Industry has to change. No fitness, I mean healthcare, and so I've definitely seen a lot of convergence. And all the data that we just discussed, glucose monitoring. Historically, you got a glucose monitor, you had to have, diabetes essentially.
Yeah, exactly,
You'd be given that doctor, now you can buy it online. So healthcare is disrupting, tech and fitness is disrupting the healthcare. So healthcare has no choice but to react in some way, in my view.
Yeah. So my final question, Connected Health and Fitness Summit. This is your first day today, I believe. What are you coming here to look for and look at?
I think it's always interesting to see who's, I'm on a panel with some interesting people. I think what's interesting this year is that there's less, and you kind of said it, it's not that much fitness here, but it's everyone around it. And so I'm always curious to see who's doing the best new tech, how people are thinking about the world, etc. I obviously been doing it for a while, so I know a lot of people, and the physical connection and having conversation, it's amazing. I just came back from a conversation with the founder of Argata, which is a connected rower. We're discussing the future of omni-channel experiences, and so those are the things that, as we form, all of us, our strategies are it's good to come together and brainstorm.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time,
Very
Julia.
generous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So we would love to talk to you, and I was enamored by your concept, which is Safe Sweat. So perhaps give us the mini pitch of what you presented this morning. You are Southern Californian raised, born and raised, right? Living in Vancouver, beautiful Vancouver right now, and you have a very unique concept. So why don't you give us your pitch?
Yeah, thank you. This morning. Yeah, absolutely. So again, I have 25 years fitness industry experience, all the way from personal trainer to president, corporate to franchise, United States, Canada, and lost my job in the pandemic. And
join the queue.
Right. But actually, what was the toughest time of my life became the biggest blessing, as that's when we came up with Safe Sweat. We came up with Safe Sweat because of our 25 years experience, because of what we were seeing happening with social media, and specifically even my kids. They're 12-year-old twins, and they're starting to get into this world that we weren't in when we were kids. And they're already starting to compare themselves on how they look, and they're starting to stress about what they wear and what people think about them. And we really thought about the fitness industry and thought, why is the gym studio penetration still at 20%? Why hasn't it grown? And we believe that the reason it hasn't grown is because people don't have another option. There's gyms and there's studios, and those gyms and studios have remained relatively unchanged for the past 20 plus years. And with obesity, diabetes, mental health, social media adding to body image dysmorphia and social anxiety, and then you add in gyms, which are extremely intimidating for many, it's impossible for this group. And so they're trying to work out from home, which we know is really, really tough to do. So we believe that there's an underserved community that would prefer a more private experience in a public setting. So we came up with Safe Sweat. Safe Sweat is a 2,700 square foot studio. We have 8 private fit suites. These fit suites are fully equipped with top-of-line equipment and recovery technology, even a meditation device. Our members are able to book their sessions via the Safe Sweat app, where they can work out with a friend, one of our personal trainers, or solo. These fit suites are also fully customizable. So you walk in, you slide your door shut, you change the lighting to whatever mood you want, you change the airspeed to what you want, you listen to whatever music you want, and you watch whatever you want on the big screen TV, including our Safe Sweat digital fitness library. We also fully sanitize in between every session, and we provide a clean towel. So it's
a micro gym away from home, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah, in a very safe environment with equipment you probably can't afford or want to buy.
Absolutely.
With a whole range of experiences, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Over 40% of our users have home gyms.
Right.
And that's exactly
and that's still
coming. They say, maybe I don't have the equipment that you guys have, or I don't have the space, so I have only a couple pieces of equipment. But the biggest answer is, I bought it with the best of intention, and I stopped using it within a month.
Right.
And so they are now finding themselves more accountable. They book appointments. There's no-show and late fees if they don't show up. And our member retention is over 90% right now.
Right.
So our members are staying. They're staying even past, a typical studio.
That's great. So tell us about the financials. You're one studio right now. I know that you have some aggressive growth plans.
Yeah.
How are you looking at that? So how quick, where are you profitability and what are the plans?
Absolutely, yeah. So we were profitable in less than 5 months. So some of the reasons, we have over 130 active members. We can easily triple that with zero capacity issues. Our average dues is over $205, and that's increasing. We have, I said, over 90% member retention rate.
And who's coming? What's your demo?
Demographic is, our target audience is people that have never done fitness before,
Okay.
or they've done it and failed.
Right.
And so we're seeing them come and thrive, but we're also now seeing executives that have no time for what's happening in gyms right now, waiting for equipment, looking for equipment. Maybe they don't like they've changed their standards after the pandemic, and they realize they want cleaner areas. We have over 25% of our members working with a personal trainer, 5 times
Right.
the industry
Right.
average.
Interesting.
And we have 30% less operating costs.
Right.
So,
Because of headcount, primarily?
well, headcount specifically with coaches and instructors, because we don't have classes.
Right.
So, huge question mark when I announced Safe Sweat almost 2 years ago. I said, we're doing this, and people challenged me in the industry. They said, there's no way you will have people pay a premium to work out on their own.
Right.
And we're doing
And
it.
yet here we are.
They
Right.
actually prefer it.
Right, so unmet needs that people didn't think were coming. I think that's really fascinating. How many different experiences could I have there? Like, how many genre do you think you're across?
Yeah, we have 8 different fit suites. 6 of them are standard. 2 of them we call Fit Suite Luxe. Our 6 fit suites are 150 square feet. Our 2 Fit Suite Luxe are 250 square feet. A little higher end finishes, more equipment, more space. You have to pay $295 to access those 2 rooms, and you can bring a guest with you every single time you work out. And with the experiences, most of the rooms are similar, but the future is providing different experiences as we learn the different things that members
So you can
want.
switch out at will, really, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So imagine, if you will, right now, the reformer being really hot, and we put those in a couple of suites.
Yeah.
And then 2 years from now, we're like, no, we're back to rowers. Okay,
Or
let's...
boxing bags or whatever it is.
Exactly.
How are you communicating that? Because it's very obvious in some ways, but it's not obvious, which is why you're the first ones to do it. How are you communicating that to people that probably wouldn't, as you say, go into the gym? There's that intimidation factor, etc. How are you getting to those people to market to them?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's been, I don't want to call it a challenge. That's been the thing we've focused the most attention on. Our social media platform, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I would compare it to Planet Fitness type ads, however, classier, cleaner, and really speaking to mental health. We talk a lot about mental health and social anxiety, and we're providing the serious ads, videos, pictures, showing people to take time for themselves, forget about everybody else, focus on the person that's looking at you in the mirror. And then we're doing the silly ads where, you go in and work out and you decide you don't want to work out. So you end up laying on the floor and stretching, and you get your time away from your husband and your kids, and that hour is specifically for you.
So it's kind of like it's like a hotel room idea, like in the day. Is that kind of a good way to explain? Like, you go into a hotel, you book a room, you got the room for yourself. So this is sort of like a suite, fitness suite. You book it, use it for an hour.
Very accurate. Cheryl Kaplan yesterday at Planet Fitness, she said, if there's something the fitness industry does, it's figure out a way to replicate the home gym user experience in a club environment. That's exactly what we're doing. Is people like the idea of working out at home, but it's too hard. There's too many distractions. We even market to that. So instead, book your suite, which it will be there waiting for you. You don't have to worry about anything else.
What's the tech like, the booking experience and all that, kind of checking in? Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so seamless from joining to reserving your purchasing your membership, reserving your session, deciding if you want a trainer with you, which are employed by us, and then
You employ your trainers, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so it's more profitable that way. And then you walk in, and we pretty much know everybody, so they're checked in automatically. They go to their suite, it's already ready for them. They work out, they walk out, they say bye, and we sanitize it for the next person. And what's really interesting is our members, when they first join, a lot of them, we saw in the flesh their social anxiety and how timid they were and how scared they were of fitness. They're opening up to us. They're telling us stories that they literally say, I would have never shared this with anybody. So they're creating bonds and friendships, which I believe are really helping with the retention.
Right, so you're reverse engineering community. So everyone's saying, look, community's everything, and then you're separating people and giving them the respect of a unique space while I find myself and feel good about something, and then presumably engaging with your community at the high and by. I think you said It's interesting because it looks like you're not creating community, but you're telling us that you are.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Again, I got challenged hard.
Yeah.
What about community? And I said, respectfully, go look up the definition of community. It's a common theme, common why, common purpose amongst individuals, and they find that commonality with each other. And you're working out in a suite, and I'm working out in a suite, and then we have a 92-year-old in another suite. We really do. We have 10-year-old in another suite, and we know there's other people that are focusing on themselves, and it's like they're there, but they're not there, and then after you're all saying hi and bye.
Right.
And we talk about community, and again, I've been in the fitness world for 25 years, and we talk about, let's call it group fitness, and I love group fitness, and we say that's community, that's retention. Well, I can make any statistic look great. That's retention and community for those that thrive in that environment. Right. What about the newcomer that walks in and stands in the corner and is like, all of them, they move better than me. They're look
wearing
better
the
than
right
me.
thing.
Yeah.
They've got coordination.
Then they talk to each other before class. They talk to each other after class. I don't come to another session.
How do you deal with the capacity issue of people wanting to work out at similar times, mornings, evenings, lunchtimes?
Yep. So I have my economics background as well as my 25 years experience, and I mapped out all the numbers. And I predict our capacity will be at about 400 members. We're over 130. Last month, we never a day passed 25% capacity, and not more than a handful of hours that were fully booked. And what we're seeing, and we've asked our members, are there any issues with no? You know what, if the 6 is booked, I take the 5.
Right.
I take the,
people have more fluidity now too, don't they, with work life as well? Yeah.
Absolutely. So we know the common theme, right? And we're trying to get our members to work out more often. On average, our members are working out about twice a week.
Okay, that's a good average.
But we don't see any capacity issues right now.
Right.
And what about the sort of economics then? Because I guess you've got all these pods, you're multiplying the equipment, smaller membership. How, without necessarily disclosing anything you're not comfortable with, but how is this from a profitability perspective? Like, it must be working, but how interesting is it?
Well, as I said, we broke even in less than 5 months, twice as fast as I would say is an Orange Theory. The payoff will be in less than 3 years. For the model I built, it's probably 4 years. And the main difference is the 30% savings in operating costs because of no classes. We're saving $15,000 to $20,000 every month because we're not hiring coaches. I would also argue that operationally, I've seen franchisees struggle because one of the hardest things to do is to recruit, hire, develop, retain top coaches. And when you do, your studio is great. And I could predict how a studio is doing by going to one class.
Right.
But then what happens when that instructor leaves? That studio also takes a dive. With us, it's a retail play.
Right.
Provide a great space, a beautiful space, make sure it's friendly, make sure it's seamless, and have great digital marketing. I was that guy that went door to door handing out flyers, putting them on the cars. I was the guy that had to take the yellow pages and open it up and cold call. We're not doing any of that. It's all digital marketing. We're not paying any commission. Our front desk doesn't make commission. Our trainers don't make commission. They make an hourly and then a premium when they service a session. So everything we're doing is completely different. So financially, by year 2, by year 3, our EBITDA is going to be 30% plus, and that's off of very similar top-line revenues to say, call it an Orange Theory.
What's your square footage, and are you in retail or off?
Yeah,
space?
so this first studio is 2,700 square feet, and we're in a strip mall.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
And expansion plans?
Yep, absolutely. We are currently speaking to investors to, number one, build our second location.
Where?
we'll pick downtown Vancouver,
Okay,
and third location will be in the States.
right. Coming home?
Yeah, well, I'm getting, people are arguing between Southern and Northern California.
Oh,
I
come
also have
on.
people in Miami. And then a Safe Sweat franchise. So again, speaking from firsthand experience, this will be the easiest, because I'm doing it. It's the easiest gym studio I've ever ran in my entire life. And so the franchise will blow up. So we'll be launching Safe Sweat franchise. As well as we're currently in discussions with some big box gyms that are looking to partner with us.
Retrofit some stuff.
Yeah.
Great.
I guess speed is going to be the key because, that people are going to look at that and say, okay, well, we can do this. So how are you thinking about getting into market before someone, before brands say, okay, we're going to try and figure this out?
I really appreciate that question. I'm very, very competitive. I would say, humbly speaking, I will outwork, out-hustle anybody I go against. And I have put my whole heart into this. I put everything into this. When I lost my job as the president, I turned down some really good opportunities, which my wife looked at me sideways for.
There's been a work done.
Right? And she said, no, I'm going to do my own thing. What are you going to do? A brand new concept in the middle of a pandemic. She called me crazy. She supported me. But we put everything into this. And it's funny, 2 years ago, I was fighting people saying, they were challenging me, saying this isn't going to work, and I knew it would work. And now I'm in a place where I knew we were going to be. It's working, and the worry I have is people are going to copy us, and it's already happening. We've already seen people coming out saying the exact same thing. I had somebody pretty close to me that's an executive in the fitness industry that I trust, and he said two things. He said, number one, Emre, I've never seen an operator like you, and you have so much passion for this. Everything we've done, the branding we've marketed, we've designed, the marketing, the design, everything we've done. And they said it's going to be very hard to replicate what you guys are doing. It'll be similar, but it won't be what you guys are doing. So that's one thing he says. And the second thing is make a decision. Either go slow, be successful,
Or get on with it.
or bring in money and blow this thing up. I decided for the latter. I'm gonna bring in money and I'm ready to take this global, and I'm 100% confident we can get there.
Good luck. Southern
Thanks.
California. Good job.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Yeah, thanks.
Great
Thank
pitch
you
this
very
morning.
much. Yeah.
Tristan saw changing name badge.
Changing
so
name badge.
From President Fhitting Room, wonderful hit boutique out of New York City, now with New York Sports Club after an acquisition, and Chief Strategy and Systems Officer. Did I get
Big
that
title.
right?
You got it
Big
right
title.
in one.
What does it mean?
Yeah, you know what? We're still trying to figure that out. No, look, it kind of separates the business into a couple of different pieces, right? So one is, looking at business strategy overall and helping to shape what does New York Sports Club of the future look like. And that's everything from looking at different membership models, how do you put recovery into our spaces, where does Fhitting Room play in that evolution as well, and how do you up-level those spaces too? And then the second part of that is looking at systems integration, and kind of strategy and systems are often two sides of the same coin, right? You kind of need the technology in order to support the business. And so that's where this kind of comes into play of what are the systems we're going to put into place? How's it going to evolve what it looks like today? And then what integrates into that? Because everybody goes, I integrate with the systems you're using, and then we find out not so much. It's all discovery and it's all fun.
My guess is that Town Sports is, it's been around for a while, and
50-year anniversary this year, 10 years for Fhitting Room. So
okay.
Yes.
So Fhitting Room, I guess, is sort of probably a young tech-first in some way kind of organisation. Whereas I suppose when Town Sports started, it's probably fax machines and
That's for sure. That's for sure.
So is that system word in there because that's like a big part of what you're trying to fuse together?
It is, and one of the interesting things is the new CEO that came on board actually, came and had a look at our studio, and that was one of the inspirations to actually wanting to acquire us. And that was looking at, how clean the systems integrations have been and how they all talk to each other. And he's like, this is amazing. Now, he wasn't blown away by the systems initially, he was actually blown away by the class, but it's just such a nice, and also the systems talk to each other and work seamlessly. So a member can come through, they can actually purchase the membership, they can purchase classes, they can get access to our on-demand, and it all happens in one space, which is kind of incredible. On the flip side of that, looking at New York Sports Club, nothing kind of really interacted with each other and talked. It was stitched together. And so there had to be better ways of looking at that, and that's the different lens that we're taking here as well.
So let's unpack that a little bit. So this was an acquisition. Now there's a lot of boutique brands out there. We're watching business models change. Big clubs want more intimate, amazingly focused experiences. Boutiques are perhaps looking at interacting with big clubs. How did that happen? So they approached you?
They approached us. So when the new CEO was put into place in February of 2022, one of his key mandates was to observe the business, but then also understand more about the industry and what are the different nuances that it can play. And one of the first places he came to was Fhitting Room to take a class. He was instantly impressed by that, and he's taken a lot of fitness classes. And he just said that it was an impeccable client experience from when you walk through the doors, you see the beautiful branding, you see how clean the studio layout is, how impactful the class was, how professional the trainers were, and the programming just knocked his socks off. And he's like, I need to know more about this concept. Right. What is this? And he's trying to tell all these people to come in and take a class because this is the new standard to set. Right. And so I think that kind of got the conversation started as to, okay, what's it going to take? And so how can we, bring you into the fold to up-level our offerings as well? And clearly also, there is a talent involved in the team element that could be a great value add to New York Sports Club and Town Sports.
Whoa, that's great. So how far into the relationship are you, and how much work is there to do, would you say?
So we're officially acquired in October. Okay. So we're a few months in. Yeah. And how
still
far
here.
we... Still in. We're still standing. It's a good start. We have a long way to go.
Right.
So this is, only phase 0 of a multi-phase approach to get there. The first part is looking at the actual portfolio itself, looking at where Fhitting Room would fit in, but also just more importantly, how all of the other elements come together. And so we're obviously doing assessments on the property portfolio now, which clubs are performing.
And tell us about the clubs, because they're not only in New York.
That's as funny as that is. Yes, that's true. So there's the New York sports clubs, obviously in New York. There's Boston, Philadelphia, Washington.
Close to New York and
Florida.
There's one in Switzerland as well.
And there's 3 in Switzerland.
Sweet.
Very well
Because
researched. I like that. Why not?
I heard
the other state of America.
It's so nearby. We thought, you know what, we're going to take 3 clubs in Switzerland as well. And I still haven't managed to get out there yet. So funny that.
Well, we're coming with you because we like Switzerland.
Yes, so that is the total portfolio, which I think initially is why it was Town Sports. It's because it's more than just that little area. Part of the new look and feel that we're going for right now is actually to centralize it under one brand called New York Sports Club, because there is an inherent awareness, but also pride in some of the things that New York does. It's New York centric, was born in New York. And it doesn't mean that we're going to force that upon all the different markets. Like, oh, you're used to Boston Sports Club. Well, too bad, you're now a New York Sports Club. No, it's like, how can I make that my sports club instead? And what does that mean to me? And almost, it's a New York Sports Club, but upgraded for a different market. And I think that messaging will resonate with our members, and it's certainly messaging resonating with our teams as well.
That's great. And then early indications. So are you in and operating, and are people experiencing the brand now?
We're in and operating in you mean for Fitting Room specifically?
Yes.
So not yet is the answer. But what I will say is, you've worked in boutique, you know everything about the boutique markets. It's a long sales cycle process, millions of dollars of build-outs to get these things looking beautiful, spick and span. We're looking to roll out multiple additional locations this year for Fhitting Room within New York Sports Club locations, not just in New York. So for the first time, we'll actually be out of market too. So that's kind of the exciting part of it.
That's
and
exciting.
In 1 year, that'll be incredible growth.
What are you seeing here in terms of technology that are areas, without giving away trade secrets, but are areas that
Or giving away trade
Oh,
secrets.
giving away, yeah, I'm sure you'd love that, Emma. Yeah, no worries. Gotcha.
that are of particular interest to be thinking about? And this could be, this could probably be all of us in the industry, but there's so much different technology, and there's wearables, and it can be overwhelming, and there is this definite frustration with the amount of different things that you've got to interact with. So what are things that you're thinking about?
It's kind of interesting. One of the things that I think was a point well taken from some of the sessions yesterday, was actually the idea of simplification rather than adding. And more people want to just add everything on because there's a point-to-point solution. Some of it will solve a slither, but the integration piece, and once you put it on top of the archaic systems that you have in place, actually it's actually more work for the teams to kind of solve, is it actually fixing anything? I do think there are interesting things coming through. I think the artificial intelligence, which is kind of like a throwaway of like, oh yeah, AI is controlling the world. In some ways it will, not in the ways that we think, is kind of how I'm kind of thinking about it.
What do you mean by that?
So it's very easy to say that artificial intelligence will help with communication and with potential chatbots and taking off the roles of people who are used to be customer service and everything else. I think there are really smart ways that can be done, especially for things like programming, that can actually change the way and personalize and tailor content to specific members' needs.
Interesting.
And I think it's something that hasn't been really widely explored, but something worth considering. I think there are other things. Computer vision's come a long way. I've seen vendors coming here from days on. That's kind of interesting to see that through. I think that the implementation of that is going to be trickier, but can be highly valuable, especially if you don't have a physical person in the room with you. So that idea of having a hybrid model is super important and something that can't be, discounted. I think a lot of people, when it comes to digital, and especially when it comes to the digital technologies, think of it as it's this or that. It's an and. But it's also that people, that switch between how much of it is going to be digital and how much of it is going to be in person is going to vary over time. So you kind of have to just be able to flex as the needs of the consumer changes too.
Very good, very interesting. Any final thoughts, Emma?
Just, I guess, some advice for the industry. So I'm coming from a trends perspective, so 10,000 feet right now, we're looking down, there's just carnage and chaos and people funded and flying, other people just hanging on for dear life. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's the technology piece. What do you think we'll settle into in, let's say, 3 years? Because I think we're riding out recessionary times, let's call it that. And we spoke with John Cannerett yesterday. He said, products in recession, but services aren't. Yeah. Like, he gave us a very interesting spin on that. So what do you see sort of in 3 years? What are we going to settle to in the boutique, club model, providing services to the members space?
Yeah, I think another point that's been kind of covered through the conference, but I think is actually well taken, is the consumer is going to demand more. It's going to be a consumer pool in a lot of different instances. They're kind of going to have their choice of how they want to consume fitness. So it used to be, during the pandemic, it's connected. Wow, they're all geniuses. How could they have seen this coming? Well, yeah, it's part of it. And maybe it pulled forward demand somewhat. But then as soon as the clubs opened, the studio's back open, everyone's back in person, right? And so I think the people who are going to win are the people that can solve for community in an authentic way, that can bridge the gap between digital and physical. Because most providers are thinking of it as an either or and not as an and. And when I say meaningful, it's not that you can high five somebody in class, but that you can actually have a connection and be like, I actually really like that person in class. Maybe I'm actually going to catch up with them and see if we can go for a coffee or something. Or a group that comes together that can do it digitally or in person, and it's seamless, and they really enjoy just each other's company and that sense of community, because I think that's what's been missing for so long, and I'm hoping that's where the trend's moving through.
So real connection, right? Not just the tricks and the...
That's right. And the real connection means having an experience together.
Right.
And that's what I think people have to target more and do it more authentically, and not just I can sell you this other product so that you can do X, Y, Z. It's no, I actually want to be there because I enjoy the company of these people and meeting new people as well.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. I know you got to run to the airport, so...
Appreciate both of you. Thanks. Oh,
I don't do
handshake
handshakes,
I
do hugs.
That's
great. Thank you. Well, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
We've got some talent in the house from Australia, so very excited. Owen Bowling. Now, you have an incredible product that I've had the pleasure of walking through. Matt has not, so I'm going to get you to explain it to us.
Yes.
And also that you're a part of the Innovation Showcase tomorrow. So 8 vetted concepts are going to battle, Shark Tank styles.
Yes.
In front of investors, no less, where they'll be voted on, I guess, and there'll be some feedback given. So tell us about your concept, where it's come from, and what we need to know about it, as if we have no idea.
Yes. All right, so Matthew, essentially we are bringing to market this year a product that we've been building for about 4 years called Coach Welly. So the concept of Coach Welly really started off as a recognition that globally in the fitness space, we do a really good job of serving the top 20, 30% of our members, and we do a really crappy job of serving the people that need help but don't get support.
Of the members we manage to retain.
That's right. And retention is part of the reason, that they don't interact, etc. But they come in with an intention to succeed. And they don't have the support network, the framework. They probably don't hire a PT. About 10% of all members see a PT. And then they're just in a black hole, left to their own devices. Now, it can't be solved with humans because the economics don't make sense. So we knew that there has to be a technology play here that tries to help those people that need more help actually make the gym successful for them. And it's universal, it's a problem everywhere. So the concept for creating a solution was born, and we've been working for 4 years on this.
How long in terms of solving that problem, like just briefly, like what did you personally, what brought you to decide you wanted to solve that as a problem?
It started with a conversation in Jets HQ in Australia. The current CEO, then a good friend of mine, we were talking about collaboration, and he was.
Elaine, was it?
No, it was Dirk Britz.
Oh, okay.
Elaine's the CEO, yeah. So Dirk and I were talking about collaboration and partnerships, and he was sort of talking about one of their partners that wasn't very good. And it was actually in that conversation that I came up with the concept of having a third party help the gym with the onboarding and customer success journey of members, because the gym didn't have the capacity and the bandwidth to do it themselves. And that was really the start of the seedling of an idea that has grown into something really special. So in a nutshell, Coach Welly is a connected wellness engagement platform. It's an ecosystem. And it has to be an ecosystem because if you deal with people only in the gym, you miss actually their entire life, because how often do they actually come to the gym versus what they do every single day? So you have to be an agnostic platform that dives deep on the consumer problem of wellness and engaging them, not just how do we get them to the gym or how do we get them to stay at the gym or even if they're not coming. So it has to be an ecosystem because they're going to have Strava or Apple or Garmin or none of those and something else, and you can't replicate that as well as they've already done that job, but you have to pull it in. So it's fully integrated with just about everything that people will use.
So one of the things that has been a topic of conversation, even running up to this event, is that integration. Everybody's got their own ecosystem.
Yes.
Whether it's a wearable, whether it's a club software, how do you fit into that without sort of upsetting everyone and creating a whole load of work just because of this new sort of device that you've got or solution?
It's a really good question, and I would challenge people using the term ecosystem simply because
it's just one of those things everyone uses.
Everyone uses
even
it.
people selling equipment now have ecosystems.
That's right.
No, you have a piece of kit.
That's right. When you think about a customer's life, and this is where you really have to go, where do we fit within their entire wellness journey? And we think we fit in a much larger space than we actually do, generally. And they're using all of these different things to try and solve their problems. People don't wake up and go, today I want to use an app, or today I want AI to help me. They wake up with jobs to be done, with problems to be solved. And where we fit in that slice of the solution is often much smaller than we appreciate. So when I talk about an ecosystem, it means when you get up in the morning and you have a certain heart rate variability, either from a wearable, like we have Aura, or you measure it with the phone camera through Spren, that will dictate all of this other stuff that happens outside of a gym environment or a boutique environment that may or may not be connected with one of these other providers or apps. None of them are really holistically part of an ecosystem yet, right? When I go for a run, I wear a MyZone belt. I have my Aura ring, but I don't manually track the run on my Aura ring because I have a MyZone belt and I use Strava. MyZone doesn't give me the distance and speed in my headphones, right? It's totally disconnected.
Yeah.
So what Welly does is the core essence of Welly is that we've created an AI coach that makes sense of all of the data from the entire wellness journey. At home, in club, doesn't matter what you're using, app, service, hardware, life fitness, techno, cardio, whatever. All of that data comes in and we have a chat interface that is making sense of that data based on what the user has said is important to them. So you talk about personalisation, and I just think personalisation is another one of these words like ecosystem. It's like, it just gets thrown around. But what is real personalisation? It's using the data and the richness of data that we have in the context of what is important to that person, and that's different for everybody. What do they want out of fitness and wellness? Do they want to just come to the gym once a week? That's enough for them, right? It doesn't matter what our metrics say around how often we want people to go to the gym. It's what they want. And what are the services and products that they use to achieve that outcome? It all has to come into one place, but then it has to be made sense of. And the AI side of our product that drives the natural language kind of chat engine, that's where the secret sauce is, because it actually helps the user make sense of the whole ecosystem and helps engage them. And it assumes that a large portion of that audience need more help than they're going to admit, right? And they can dial up and down the proactive nature of this. So most technology systems aren't proactive. They're not going to say, hey Matthew, what happened yesterday? I missed you, right? Now, some people don't want that, some people do. So you can dial up and down how much Welly interacts with you, but it is built on the assumption that those people that are failing need more help. Not the top 20%, let's give them bells and whistles and more data. Like, we don't really care about them. They're fine. Let's help the members that need more help and are quitting en masse.
What is it then? What is it, like a wearable, an app? Like how
It's an app. For the member, it's an app. Yeah.
Okay.
So we license the entire platform to a gym, and it's connected with the member management system, so all the utility functions you would expect are in there, class bookings, etc.
Do you have an issue with certain people allowing access to it, like certain brands?
So far, no, but we haven't launched yet. So we've done partnership deals and integrations, and we've got some enterprise deals that are in the works now with gyms. There will be gyms that will wait until they see it being really successful. There will be gyms that have spent 5-10 million on their own apps that probably don't want to just swap that out, and they're probably not our customer. There'll be gyms that can't afford white labeling, so there's kind of semi-white labeling inside because they're just individual sites. So there's a whole range. You and I were talking before about understanding the business model of the customers that you're servicing, and your business model needs to align, otherwise you're not going to get the penetration. So one of the key features for us is door access control. Have the member management system and the door security access company allow door access control in the app. So instead of getting a 20% penetration in the club, you get 100% penetration. And the social aspects of that then fill out into lead generation for the gym and better engagement and all sorts of different things.
Interesting.
That's incredible. So you're pitching tomorrow, so I believe you've got 37 slides in a 5-minute slot. You sound just like me. You sound just like me.
Breaking all the rules.
Yeah. So
You've really got 37 slides.
he really does,
Yeah.
so pay attention. So tell me the story that you're unpacking tomorrow, and why you,
Yes.
why you. You're up against all these ideas have been vetted.
Very
Some of
smart
the best,
people.
very smart people, very smart investors will be sitting there shooting from the hip, and you'll be under fire. So, I guess what's your special sauce? What are you really proud of?
Well, look, if it's not really clear already, I'm the non-technical co-founder of this company. I'm the fitness guy, and I know tech enough to be dangerous, but I'm certainly not, really, really deep in the tech. So my co-founder is just an absolute genius. I think one of the things that helps me be the right person to solve this is that I've been in the fitness industry for 21 years. I built a fitness equipment company, competitor to TRX, built an education platform, trained 6,000 PTs all over the world, understand the PT space because I was one for 8 years, understand what a PT helps someone with beyond the rep counting and the form correction, and really deeply understand the problem that we as an industry are trying to solve around actually helping more people be healthy and stay healthy.
Yeah.
And, being open and honest enough to call us out and say we're not doing a good enough job. We interact with 20% of the population, 25% at best, and of that, half of them leave us anyway. We just can do better. We have the foundations to do better.
What do you do though? My guess is there's a lot of people that have big club chains and quite a lot of money. My guessing is you're not the first person to think about that problem. What are you doing that I suppose is unique to you guys that isn't already out there in some way?
Great question. So the way we look at this, and we've had investors ask us that same sort of question, and the way that we look at it is very similar to, you look at Apple and Google acquiring things like Fitbit and Waze. Google has Google Maps. Why do they acquire Waze? Why don't they build it in-house? And what happens when you're looking to build a solution, technology solution or otherwise, is that when it's being built by, say, the gym chain, they are probably identifying a problem that they need to solve. They may be creating a team, hiring some key people, and they're forming a kind of a team to solve that problem. However, that team is operating within the constraints of this is our business and these are our objectives as a business. And that's often a real handbrake. And they don't have the resources. When you have a company like ours that spends 4 years just solving the problem for the end user without thinking necessarily about, oh, we've got to figure out class bookings today and we've got instructors that aren't showing up and we've got to sell an extra 100 memberships this month and all of the chaos that goes with running the main business, we can go really deep and really think long and hard and come up with solutions that solve the problem for the consumer and then find a way for it to match the business. So I'm not sure that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. Well, I guess, in essence, focus, clubs have got lots of things that fighting for their attention, and I suppose you guys have just gone very deep on one particular area, which makes sense. Is there anything unique in terms of the technology? I know you're not the tech expert, but and neither am I really on anything, but on a simple
So it's the blind leading the blind. This is a great interview.
But in layman's terms, what's some of the unique stuff that you've got there?
Yeah, so look, we've built a proprietary API layer that allows all of these pieces to interact with a front-end interface in an app. It's not completely unique, but the way we've done it is completely unique. We've also developed what we call a recommendation engine algorithm. So, and as far as I can tell, nobody's done this. So because we know, Matthew, that you want to train 3 times a week, we know your strength level, your strength training experience level, your main goal, your age, all of that profile data, we call it, gives us an ideal ratio of what you should be doing across strength, cardio, mobility, and recovery. So we call it our SCRAM ratio. Now, the HRV is the final layer, and because we've got SPREN, we don't need a wearable, so that gives us intensity. We also know how long you like to work out for, what's your duration preference. All of that feeds into an algorithm that essentially now connects your training history with your preferences, with your profile demographics, with your HRV, and actually serves up content for you daily from content partners like Wexa. So the metadata aligns and we can serve up exactly what is the right thing for you to do today. So it's not a 4-week program. If your HRV is low today, you're not doing that high intensity workout. Here's a meditation, here's a yoga, here's a lower intensity thing that matches all of your other preferences. That I think is completely unique.
Right. And you mentioned Wexa, so are you then connecting with other brands from the content perspective that you're pulling in then as
Potentially,
well?
yeah. Wexa is our main partner right now, but we are an agnostic ecosystem. So if you have the mechanism to be able to provide us with the endpoints and the signals and the data that enables us to serve up content, and there's quite a rich set of metadata we need, then it's open.
Interesting.
So integration partners are definitely one of those that we're looking to connect with and build out kind of a pipeline of features that can come in future.
And then all the household names are integrated, all the wearables you would expect. And then if I come up with a new wearable that isn't on there, what happens?
So it depends on the scope of the wearable. If it doesn't serve that many people, it probably gets pushed down the list of priorities. We currently use Terra, which is a global wearable aggregator. So there's a couple of these companies out there that are doing a great job. Rook Motion's another one. Right. So they go and partner with all of the wearable companies and pull in the data, but it's all in different formats. Right. How do they package calories and heart rate and HRV and all this sort of stuff? So they unify it into one format that we can interact with. So I would suggest if you are a wearable and you want, go and play with the aggregators, and then we can use you.
So, final question then, what are you hoping to get by the end of tomorrow? You're here, you're doing a pitch.
Yes.
A lot of slides.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm concerned about your slides, I must admit. But
you'll see how it comes together tomorrow. So the main goal for being here, I already had meetings in North America and it worked really well, but we're announcing Paul Bowman from Wexa, the CEO, coming on as our board chairman. So that's kind of a big public announcement, and also that we're coming to market. So we're not live yet, and we'll be live in Australia in about May. But we are building a pipeline of customers. So now is the time to talk to us in terms of if you like the look of this solution. We are raising money. We had a really big thing happen yesterday where we may not be raising money anymore, but that decision will be made really quickly. So we are meeting with investors in a limited time window and saying there is an opportunity here. and really also just to connect in the States. I haven't been in the States since pre-COVID, and I'll be here a lot more, over the coming months and years now.
You're building up your air miles and your hotel
That's right.
points.
Yeah, come on, platinum, woohoo! But yeah, so that's essentially why we're here. Is really just announce to the industry we're here, create those relationships, meet with potential, vendors, partners, investors, customers, and have a great time.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Owen. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you've got any value from it whatsoever, then please do us a favor, like, subscribe, tell somebody, and that will help us to be able to continue to do more of these and help you escape your own personal limits. Thanks for listening.